Oh, I keep repeating myself. Hey y'all, it's me Naya again. So I'm back this week with another video about college, and by now I think it's going to be probably a series, and apparently you guys love when I talk about colleges, specifically the experiences and how to thrive, etc. So I'm back with more of that. So today specifically we're going to be talking about academics, and of course, as I said, if you watched my last video, academics are not everything. However, they definitely play a big part. So today we're going to talk about specifically how to do well in college academically, especially if maybe you struggled with it in high school or you did well in high school but you're nervous about how college is going to be. So let's get started. One thing I want to preface this with is that a 4.0 shouldn't be the holy grail of what you want to achieve in college. Having a 4.0 doesn't equate to how intelligent or smart someone is, at least in my opinion. Having a 4.0 means that you know how to utilize the tools and resources to get great grades in the class. So when we're talking about doing well academically, it's not just about getting good grades, it's also about understanding the course material, because a lot of the material that you're going to be learning, obviously after probably freshman year, because a lot of those are core classes, are things that you're going to have to utilize in your field of study. If you're studying to become a doctor, you're definitely going to have to utilize all the information from your bio classes. If you're becoming a journalist, like law, you're going to have to utilize all the different literary devices and things like that in your writing. So making sure that you understand what you're actually learning is very important, not just getting good grades. So one thing that is literally key to me maintaining good grades is having a centralized note-taking system. Now, having a centralized note-taking system just means that all of your notes are in one place. I know that some people spread their notes out across OneNote, Google Docs, so I keep all of my notes in Evernote, and I have everything organized by notebook, and within that I give an encompassing title to each set of notes for every class or lecture that I have. So one thing I liked in Evernote that you cannot do in Google Docs is that you can search for specific keywords within different notes. Like for example, if I'm looking up the word money, it'll show me where money shows up in every single note across all of my notebooks. Meanwhile, if I use Google Docs and search up money, it's just going to show me what different notes contain money, but it doesn't show me in what context. Now, in terms of papers, worksheets, essays, I do use Google Docs, but I make sure that everything is in color-coded folders so I can easily access everything. So by now, you guys have probably noticed that I do utilize folders and color coordinating a lot, and I honestly can say that that's pretty central to my academic success, because when it comes to midterms or finals, it is so difficult for all of your notes to get jumbled in Google Docs, etc., not being able to find anything. But by having color coordination or organized notebooks that some people may deem excessive or doing too much, you're able to save so much valuable time that you may need studying or whatever. So yeah, always stay organized to the best of your ability. So as we move into talking about different items and materials for class, you can learn how I got my different textbooks and books for free in my last video. I talked about that in length. But when it comes to talking about digital devices for class, I do not think that you have to have a laptop. Now, I know you're probably thinking, wait, a laptop is literally what's necessary for class. They say that's the number one thing you need for college. No, I do not think you need a physical MacBook, Asus, Acer, whatever the new laptop is for right now. I don't know. I've seen people in class and some of my friends utilizing iPads or different tablets with a case with a keyboard in it. And if a literal $2,000 laptop is not in your budget right now, don't stress about it. Don't worry about it. You will be fine as long as you have some type of device paired to a keyboard to be able to take notes in class. And all colleges have printers in different locations on campus. So I know at NYU there's always a printer within every freshman dorm at all the different centers on campus, majority of them. But there is a printer website you can check to find out which printer is closest to you. If you're in between classes, you forgot to print in the morning, you need to rush, you can utilize that to be able to make sure you can print out your assignments if you have to turn them in physically. However, for classes where you need to take diagrams or write down math equations, I think that having a physical notebook honestly helps a lot. For my math class, I didn't have to take physical notes because it was a data coding class, so I didn't have to really write anything down. Everything was digitized in our coding software network, whatever. If you are taking a lot of math classes, science classes, your pre-med, whatever, pre-health, definitely having a notebook is helpful if you need to scribble something down that you don't really want to type into your computer. And so even though I don't need to utilize a physical notebook for any of my classes, I always keep one with me just in case. And this just goes without saying, I think that generally digitizing the majority of your resources, notes, textbooks, etc. is super helpful in terms of just keeping your backpack light, because trust me, walking 10 blocks, 15 minutes, 20 minutes in between classes is not nice on your back. The strain is real. I started to use a tote bag towards the end of the year because that was nicer to my back. I normally just have my laptop, one notebook, an emergency kit for anything that I may need throughout the day, and my pencil case. Ooh. Okay, this is a good one, and honestly, my most important takeaway, even though this definitely isn't the most important thing I have to put on here, but it's definitely what makes sure that my life is not in shambles. Your calendar is your best friend. I promise you, I'm not exaggerating. My calendar saved me throughout the entirety of freshman year. And yes, I was known as that one friend that would say I have to check my calendar first before committing to anything important. And I know that may seem like a lot, and having a calendar is not for everybody. However, having a calendar that is updated regularly and tells you when everything is happening makes sure that you aren't blindly committing to things. Now, if you plan to be super engaged in college, on top of your A game from day one, having a calendar is definitely what you need to do. You might have a lot of different club meetings, off-campus work, on-campus work, classes, recitations, labs. You will have so much going on. So using Google Calendars, Android calendars, Apple calendars is always a huge help. But make sure whatever app or service you're using is accessible on your phone so that you can get notifications so you won't be lost or forget what you're going to be doing. Also, adding an additional alarm that alerts you maybe 30 to 15 minutes before every class to provide travel time so that you know you're not going to be late. Honestly, and I have to be real with y'all, I had to utilize the 30-minute time or whatever because I was sleeping through my classes. And I'm not talking like sleeping in the morning, like that's kind of acceptable. I'm talking like coming back from class and taking a nap. So by all means, have an alarm or a calendar or something that notifies you when class is occurring, especially if you easily get tired and need a nap or are off doing something else and will most likely forget, like me. So now we're getting into the social aspects of academics. And remember how I told you at the beginning of this video that academics are not entirely part of the college experience? Well, I'm not one to lie, and I wasn't lying then. Social aspects definitely come in handy when we're talking about the classroom and lectures in college. Now, one thing I live by is always having an in-class friend or peer or someone that you're willing to talk to. And it shouldn't be any type of superficial friendship that you're building on just taking notes from them or anything like that. It should be an actual, just casual friendship or acquaintanceship in which you both can study together, discuss the class, discuss talking point, text during class. I don't care what you do, but make sure that you just have a friend or someone cool in class that you can talk to. Now, in addition to that, getting in on the class group chat or Google Doc or whatever is key to succeeding in a really difficult class. Now, I think this is important for mostly large lectures. I know at NYU, the largest lectures have maybe 500 people in them, and obviously the teacher's not going to know a singular face. And that also leaves a lot of room for unanswered questions during office hours and even during class. So making sure that you're connected with some people in the class so that you all can learn from each other a little bit more, gain notes for classes that you've missed, add or view study guides, or even join in on some in-person study groups. So make those relationships. Also, contrary to popular belief, I do not think that knowing your professor personally in a large lecture is beneficial in the slightest. First of all, if you're in a large lecture, your professor is not grading every individual test. And within every large lecture, there's normally a recitation or lab in which everyone in the class is split up into smaller sections, and you have a TA or teacher's assistant. Now, your TA is key to your graded assignments because they're the ones actually doing the grading. Your TA is the one that will connect your face, your name, your attitude in class to what they're actually grading. Honestly, just being polite, chill, engaging in class, but not engaging too much because you don't want to be that one person that's always inserting their 2 cents when no one in the class needs it every 5 seconds. I'm telling you, that might have been cute in high school, but it is not going to be cute in college. Professors definitely take note of who dominates conversation, and any good professor would not like to see that. Now, if you're in a smaller class or seminar in which your professor is very hands-on and they know your face and your name, it is important to make sure that you have a connection with them. This especially goes for classes of interest within your major. Now, I plan on double majoring in media and journalism studies. So my first semester, I had a journalism seminar, and in this class, we did a lot of digital media editing, reporting, things like that, and I absolutely loved it. So if you're actually enthusiastic about the projects and material, a professor definitely notices that. And don't be afraid to reach out to them outside of the allotted class time. You can show up to office hours or maybe plan a meeting with them to talk about anything that was interesting in class. Now, in this specific class, as I said, I was super interested, so I had a pretty good relationship with my professor. When we were working on our final projects, I updated him literally almost every day about what I was working on my project, and he genuinely had an interest in what I was doing. So I had a good faculty relationship within the School of Journalism. And towards the middle of the second semester, when I was already done with his class, I was able to ask him for a letter of recommendation for a scholarship that I was pursuing. And y'all, I was super nervous. I was like, what if he doesn't think he knows me that well to write any type of recommendation for me? I literally debated for over a week about asking him or maybe asking a teacher from my old school. But I went out on a limb. I asked him very nicely, and he said that yes, he'd be happy to do it. And honestly, he went out of his way with that recommendation because I read it and I was like, wait, like, don't know if you making it up or if I can brag about myself right now. Like, y'all, it was that type of recommendation. Such kind words, such specific incidents of how he helped me with the documentary project, how I was enthusiastic about different things. Putting out the energy in terms of what you want to receive and what you want to do in the academic sphere is very important because it will circle back to you. Okay, so now talking about study tips. So like I said earlier, having friends in the class helps when it comes to finals and midterms. And also keeping your own organized notes so you don't have to rely on other people's or search a ton on the internet is very helpful as well. And honestly, going to a hub location for studying on campus, it's not going to be super silent. So within every library, there's often silent study floors, which are always great to utilize, as well as different study rooms you can reserve for certain chunks of time. Those are very helpful. I also think making sure you don't study yourself to death is really important. I always go by this rule: if I don't know it by 2 a.m., I just won't know it. It's a waste of time studying for 4 hours on end at 4 o'clock in the morning because your brain is not going to retain that information. It's going to revert to exhaustion, and that's going to kick your butt when you're actually taking the exam. Studying through lunch, dinner, or even breakfast at sometimes is not healthy. So within every 2 to 3 hour block, take a break to eat, stretch, nap, honestly, and just make sure that your body is ready for the exam just as much as all the information that you've crammed in is. So that is everything I have for y'all today, all of my A1 studying tips, advice, etc. I hope that it was helpful in some way, shape, or form. And I definitely want to do more college videos. I didn't know specifically what to do even for this video, so if you guys have any specific requests or inquiries, please let me know in the comments down below or on my Instagram. Everything is always tagged and linked. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, y'all. Bye!